6 p.m., July 1st, 1987. And we're about to have the 50th anniversary ball of Air Weather Service. This is the culmination of 2 days of activity that we've had here at Scott and in the St. Louis region. And tonight, we're going to have our anniversary ball. In a short period of time, these roughly 100 tables are going to be filled with 842 guests that have come from 36 states throughout the United States. And it's going to be a big evening. We wanted to share this evening with you, and we've also captured portions of the highlights of the last 2 days. We'll put that together in a big videotape for you, and that's going to be part of the Commander's Call videotape that's coming out to you, kind of our Project Heritage and our Project Warrior series. We hope you enjoy it as we enjoy this evening.
During the first part of this program, we'll join General Chapman during the brunch at the Clarion Hotel. At the brunch, he welcomed former Air Weather Service members and told them about 50th anniversary activities at Scott Air Force Base and at the Clarion Hotel. Throughout General Chapman's comments, we'll be seeing highlights of the 50th anniversary activities. And now, General Chapman.
Last year, I had the privilege of going down to Melbourne, Florida, and attending the reunion down there and watching my former boss, Heiko Gayakin, trying to keep 400 people under control as they renewed acquaintances over the last 15, 20, 30 years, and found for once in his career he perhaps had lost control for just a moment. And we worried about that this morning, but it's nice to see 250 of you out, and it's a pleasure for me, I'm George Chapman, to welcome you to the 50th anniversary of the Air Weather Service and to see such a great turnout, because it really is great in every respect. We've got we have 36 states represented. If you hadn't seen that in the various handouts that have been passed out by our people, that gives you an indication, I believe, of not only the link that you still have with the service and Air Weather Service, but the friendships that you maintain, and we're really pleased to see that turnout. 830 people, and still climbing, and we'll probably have that total number then for the big ball tomorrow evening. And I thought I'd spend a few minutes this morning certainly not telling you about Air Weather Service and everything that's happened over the past 10, 20, 30, or perhaps 50 years, but just go over a little bit of some of the things that we're going to be doing, personalize it a little bit for the next 48 hours, because believe me, we've got a big agenda planned. When I was down in Melbourne last year, and Colonel Gayakin, General Collins, and a few of the others had mentioned to me that it might be appropriate for the 50th anniversary to be at Scott, because that's the headquarters of Air Weather Service. I readily agreed to that. Should have had a little bit more foresight and recognized that there might have been a little bit of work involved in that, and there has been for about 8 months, but thanks to the efforts of a lot of people that you see around here in blue uniforms, the quality of the Air Weather Service people is as great as the day that you left Air Weather Service, and they've put together, I think, 2 full days of great activity, and I think you're going to enjoy it. I wanted to mention a couple of things that I think are unique, and one that just happened this morning as kind of a kickoff to this, and it really represents a lot of the work that you have undertaken for us in the past years. We have lobbied for a long, long time, we in Air Weather Service, to be recognized rather distinctively for the service that we render. I had the opportunity yesterday morning to brief the Secretary of the Air Force and the Chief of Staff on an area of our responsibility. And this morning at 8 o'clock, on behalf of General Cassidy, who's TDY, General Cassidy is the Commander-in-Chief of Military Airlift Command and my boss, but on behalf of General Cassidy, Lieutenant General Armstrong presented something to me that will be worn by all of the Air Weather Service people.
Good morning. Today is the 30th of June, 1987, and this week we're commemorating the 50th anniversary of Air Weather Service. And I think it's most appropriate as we commemorate that anniversary that we pay special tribute to the members of Air Weather Service who make it all happen. Several times in the past, they've tried to get a special recognition badge for the members of Air Weather Service unsuccessfully. And so finally we're able to do that, and it's my privilege today to present a plaque to Brigadier General George Chapman, the Commander of Air Weather Service, with the emblems that will be presented to the members of Air Weather Service so that they can wear proudly on their uniforms. George?
Thank you very much, General
Congratulations.
Armstrong. I appreciate that very much, and on behalf of all of the Air Weather Service people, it's my personal pleasure and privilege to accept this meteorological badge plaque. And I would like to add, though, something very personal and certainly very appropriate. I know personally, as Air Weather Service Commander, how strongly you supported us in this recommendation, as well as General Cassidy, our SINC. And I would say again, on behalf of all of the Air Weather Service people, thanks for your very strong support. It's a proud day for us, not only for the 50th anniversary, but because of the recognition of our people through the acceptance of this badge. Thanks, sir. Thanks again.
Congratulations to you.
The transportation will leave here within the next hour and take people towards the golf course out at Scott. For those that are going out to play golf, we have 100 golfers, and we have a shotgun start. General Dwayne Cassidy is going to be on the course with us this afternoon, our Commander-in-Chief, and some of you may get a chance to see him out there. If not, he will be at 2 other activities with us throughout the next 48 hours.
That's where you got the ball. Not here? Right there. Oh, thank you.
Now, tomorrow morning, and the activities kind of pick up very quickly again, for those of you who watch Good Morning America, and I'm not trying to plug any of the 3 channels or Weather Channel or anything, but Spencer Christian is apparently going to give us a little plug tomorrow morning on Good Morning America on our 50th anniversary, tomorrow being 1 July. So if you want to turn in on that channel, you may hear a reference to the command and the service that you were a part of for 50 years. I feel quite certain you will. Don't know just what he's going to say. Probably depends on the weather that's over St. Louis at the moment, but we'll take our chances in that regard. At any rate, he is going to recognize us, and we appreciate that very much and appreciate their efforts.
That region. By the way, we'd like to salute this morning the Air Weather Service celebrating its 50th anniversary of providing vital weather information to the Air Force. Had open house yesterday for the Air Weather Service at Belleville at Scott Air Force Base there. There'll be a big ball tonight in St. Louis. We're predicting skies will clear out for the big celebration this evening in St. Louis. So happy 50th and keep on flying. That's a look at the national weather picture. Here's what's happening in your hometown area.
Hey, July marks the 50th anniversary of the Air Weather Service. These are the forecasters and observers for the Air Force. Now, the earliest known weather badge had a 3-cup wind anemometer, as a symbol, and that black and blue background represented night and day weather coverage. Now, the first commander was the Army Air Corps Captain Robert Losey, appointed in 1937, who, by the way, was the first American military officer killed in World War II. In 1943, the first 10 women Air Force service pilots were assigned to the weather branch. Today, nearly 5,000 people help make forecasts around the world for the Air Force.
The Air Weather Service 50th anniversary celebration also received television coverage on the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service, Europe.
Good evening. Glad you could join us. When you think about the weather here in Europe, who's the first person you think of? AFN's weather forecaster, Staff Sergeant John Gamache. Well, John is joining us in the Gasthaus tonight with his boss, Colonel Gary Ziegler, commander of the 2nd Weather Wing. The Air Weather Service today is celebrating the 50th anniversary. Okay. Why don't you give us a little bit about the history of Air Weather Service?
A couple of key dates. In the War of 1812, actually, the first national U.S. weather people were Army surgeons that were tasked to take observations to correlate with disease problems like yellow fever. In 1870, Congress decided to form a National Weather Service under the Department of War, and that was the first time that we took observations at different points at the same time and started having an organized system. But it wasn't until 1937 when the Army Air Corps Weather Service was formed out of the Army Signal Corps, and weather people had their own identity in one single organization, that it was a weather service unit. It started with about 22 officers and about 100 enlisted folks and it's grown from that point to about 5,000 today. Sheila, before we go, one more thing. I'd like to present you this official Air Weather Service 50th anniversary emblem, and with it goes the title of honorary weather person, and we'd like you to start the mid-shift with us tonight, if you would, please.
Thank you.
The open house, let me tell you a little bit about that and why I have decided not to go into an exposition on the command that you helped build. Tomorrow morning, beginning at 9 o'clock, our people have worked very hard out at Scott. We've brought in equipment, kind of a report to the stockholders, if you will, because you're part of that as tax-paying citizens as well as former members of Air Weather Service. And so we brought in equipment from around the world to actually show you the capability that we have today and put on a demonstration in that regard. We have the equipment there, we have some aircraft there, and you'll see some things set up out on the flight line as well as around the Air Weather Service building, and we'll have transportation geared to make it available to you and to make it comfortable for you to see. And we're very pleased that the sync then will follow that open house, General Cassidy, tomorrow at about 11:30 with a special dedication. We wanted an enduring monument to you and to us, quite frankly, and that enduring monument is a special flagpole with a special plaque in front of Headquarters Air Weather Service, and we'll have it set up with all the protocol and the pomp that is appropriate to the circumstance.
General Dwayne Cassidy, Commander-in-Chief, Military Life Command, and Brigadier General George Chapman, Commander of the Air Weather Service.
And I think at the same time, by way of introduction of General Cassidy, it's important to note that he plays a logical role in this 50th anniversary, not only because he's the Commander-in-Chief of the Military Airlift Command, but because many, many years ago, he started out his career as a second lieutenant in the 6th Weather Group. And seated or standing about 15 feet to his left, as I recall, was his commander at that time, Colonel Bill Barney, when General Cassidy flew in the 1st Weather Reconnaissance Force that we had with some very special missions. So it gives me a deep privilege and a very special pleasure to introduce to you this morning the Commander-in-Chief of the Military Airlift Command and an ex-weather person, General Dwayne Cassidy. Sir? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very, very much, George, and to you and the men and women of the Air Weather Service, I'm certainly delighted to be here, particularly with this group of people here, several of which have had an effect on my career, most of which I will not repeat here today. And certainly Bill Barney. I learned a lot from Bill Barney, and I won't tell all of that I learned from you either today, Bill Barney. My assignment is to the Air Weather Service. I will admit to all of you, probably had very little effect on Air Weather Service. It probably had no effect at all on Air Weather Service, but it had a great deal of effect on me because it was my first assignment. So there are many of you in this room. I would hope all of you in this room, young and old alike, remember well your first assignment. And some of you old-timers probably can say exactly where it was and exactly how it was and what it was like. And because of that, because Air Weather Service, even for a short period of time, was my first assignment, I think the words at the base of the flagpole that we will honor in a few minutes, George, have a great deal of meaning to me because it's, and I quote, the men and women of the Air Weather Service on their 50th anniversary. They're honoring those people. So I consider myself one of those people, having been assigned to it, not just because I'm the Commander-in-Chief now, but having been one of those Weather Service persons of a long time ago, and I'm delighted to be here because of that. The men and women of Air Weather Service are very visible representatives of MAC and the Air Force, and in all the military community, everywhere we go. You stand before flight crews, battlefield commanders, mission planners, major commanders, the commanders of all the commanders and chiefs. In fact, there's not a day goes by that there's not a Weather Service briefing that starts out the day of every commander's day. And so the first person up, the first person out front is a Weather Service person briefing the weather. So if he makes it or he or she make it a downer or a bad day, I sense the whole day for the command will go bad. But if they're upbeat and smiling like you always do, I think it sets a tone for what's going on. And I must tell you that one of my greatest satisfactions is getting many, many non-solicited comments on the value and the professionalism and the competence of our Weather Service people from all of those seniors commanders. What you do every day is so absolutely professional. I think we, the rest of the Air Force, give the Weather Service people the ultimate compliment. We tend to take you for granted, George, we really do. It's kind of like our wives and our husbands. We tend to take you for granted, and I think that's a great, great compliment. But let me tell you, believe me, we rely on your excellence, and we know it doesn't come easy. It takes hard work, it takes extra hours, and it takes the support of very dedicated families who are willing to make some sacrifices, as well as the members. George, thank you for allowing me, and thank all of the men and women of Air Weather Service for allowing me to be part of your celebration here this morning and to be part of the celebration this evening. I'm very, very proud of each and every individual in the Air Weather Service, every family member that we have. You do such great things. And as we take this command, this Air Weather Service command, into the next century with some next generation radar and some new weather distribution systems, I think for the next 50 years or longer, we will once again provide that excellence through people that you commanders and you NCOs have provided us in the past. Thank you all for coming. George, thank you for permitting me to be part of this.
Thank you, General Cassidy, and thank you, General Chapman. The Air Weather Service Chief Master Sergeants are presenting a flag of the United States, which was flown over our nation's capital and over Bolling Air Force Base, District of Columbia, the first headquarters of the Air Weather Service. It was also flown at the headquarters of the Air Weather Service's wings in Europe, the Pacific, and the United States. This flag will be placed on permanent display in the lobby of the Air Weather Service headquarters building, following the inaugural flag raising today.
Present, car.
Then in the afternoon, you can repair back to either the hotel that you're staying at or the quarters that you're at, relax a little bit in the afternoon. I am personally going to be honored to make a presentation tomorrow afternoon. We'll have an awards ceremony. We brought in some people for this that are also very important to us, and that's our Airman of the Year, NCO of the Year, Senior NCO of the Year, and Junior Officer of the Year. We brought them in so they can recognize the importance of this organization they're serving in. I'll make an official award presentation to them tomorrow afternoon, as well as a very special presentation to a former member of Air Weather Service, and I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow and tomorrow night. And so I thought that at this particular time, when we have a 50th anniversary celebration, it was appropriate, no matter how busy we are, to take some time and really reflect on our people. And we want to more properly have the awards ceremony now that we've been looking forward to for some time. Now, there are going to be some citations read, but I'd like to briefly introduce you to the people to make sure that you're aware of them, starting certainly with Matt Cornell, who's our Airman of the Year, 3 years in the service, honor grad out of Lackland, then reported to Pope Air Force Base, and at Pope he's been a distinguished grad of the NCO Prep School, and has been selected for Senior Airman below the zone while he's been there, and for many other reasons, many other accomplishments that you'll hear in the citation that's going to be read. Matt is very worthy of representing all of the airmen throughout Air Weather Service as Airman of the Year.
Airman Cornell, please step forward. Matthew J. Cornell, Air Weather Service, Airman of the Year, 1986. Senior Airman Matthew J. Cornell, Weather Forecaster Assistant, Detachment 21, 15th Weather Squadron, Pope Air Force Base, North Carolina, is the 1986 Air Weather Service Airman of the Year. Airman Cornell's outstanding professional skill and exceptional initiative set the standard for other Air Weather Service forecaster assistants. During the 317th Tactical Airlift Wing's Operational Readiness Inspection, Airman Cornell played a dual role by taking high-quality observations and doubling as a forecaster. Airman Cornell's strong performance helped earn his unit's Mission Support Center an outstanding rating. Airman Cornell volunteered to take extra pieball observations and help prepare forecasts for several drop zones during the International Airdrop Competition, Volant Rodeo 86. His additional efforts increased the safety of the drops during marginal weather and brought praise from the commander, 21st Air Force. Recognized as his unit's expert on small computers, Airman Cornell developed innovative programs to handle low-level wind shear studies on the Z100 computer, and then designed a training program to teach other unit members. Airman Cornell was the recipient of the NCO Academy Graduate Association's Sharp Award, becoming the first airman even to receive the maximum score possible. Airman Cornell was also a distinguished graduate from this NCO preparatory course. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1986 Air Weather Service Airman of the Year.
You're all absolutely outstanding. It's hard to top those citations, but congratulations to you. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Tech Sergeant Frank Hall, who is not only NCO of the Year in Air Weather Service, but as you've heard, NCO of the Year in MAC, and recently selected by the Chief of Staff of the Air Force as one of the 12 outstanding NCOs or airmen in the entire Air Force. And as General Cassidy said this morning, out of 500,000 people, that's not too bad. And we're kind of pleased for you, Frank.
Sergeant Hall. Frank J. Hall III, Air Weather Service Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year, 1986. Technical Sergeant Frank J. Hall III, Weather Technician, Detachment 25, 5th Weather Wing, Howard Air Force Base, Panama, is the 1986 Air Weather Service Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year. Sergeant Hall's technical and professional expertise led directly to improvements in combat weather support to Central and South America. Sergeant Hall developed procedures and provided weather support to a multinational effort to eradicate cocaine production in Bolivia. Based in the remote northern plains of Bolivia, Sergeant Hall used his expertise to aid decision makers in finding accessible targets and planning missions. Sergeant Hall was witness to the crash of a Panamanian school bus, injuring 15 children and the bus driver. Taking quick action, Sergeant Hall removed the victims from the wreckage, applied necessary first aid, and remained in charge of the situation until proper authorities could arrive on the scene. Sergeant Hall was recognized for his on-scene performance during the Nevada de Ruiz Colombia volcano relief efforts. For his efforts, Sergeant Hall was awarded the Humanitarian Service Medal and has been approved to receive the Army Achievement Medal. Sergeant Hall was a top graduate of the NCO Leadership School and has recently completed the NCO Academy courses by correspondence. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1986 Air Weather Service Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year.
It's hard to add anything to that citation, Frank. Very proud of you also. Congratulations to you and all the best to you. Senior Master Sergeant Dennis Gagne. Very, very proud of Dennis because not only is he the Senior NCO of the Year in Air Weather Service, but the Senior NCO of the Year in the Military Airlift Command. And the Military Airlift Command comprises about 90,000 people, and that's not too bad. After 18 years of service, I counted about 10 or 11 assignments. Dennis, take your seat, that's fine. 10 or 11 assignments, and through all of that time, I noted that he was qualified in Raven Sound operations, he'd been an observer, He'd been a chief observer, been a forecaster, been a station chief, and now he's at 31st Weather Squadron. Of course, he's the chief of operations over there.
Sergeant Gagne, please come forward. Dennis F. Gagne, Air Weather Service, Senior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year, 1986. Senior Master Sergeant Dennis F. Gagne, Chief, Field Support, 31st Weather Squadron, Simbach Air Base, Germany, is the 1986 Air Weather Service Senior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year. Senior Master Sergeant Gagne's strong technical background, coupled with outstanding managerial skills, led directly to many innovative improvements to weather support in the European theater. Sergeant Gagne developed and implemented a method to digitize European radar observations, dramatically enhancing flight safety by pinpointing thunderstorm locations with greater accuracy. Sergeant Gagne's comprehensive training program for senior NCOs selected to be station chiefs in Europe encompassed all areas of station chief responsibilities and was praised by all participants. Sergeant Gagne was the driving force behind tedious preparations for the operational replacement radar in Europe, coordinating diverse Allied support needs at 5 USAFE bases in 4 different countries. Due to his initiatives, all major milestones were met on time. Sergeant Gagne planned, coordinated, and chaired the 31st Weather Squadron Station Chief Conference. His exemplary conference leadership resulted in identification and correction of a myriad of common problems. Sergeant Gagne was singled out by the MAC-IG during a management effectiveness inspection for outstanding performance and extensive involvement in numerous unit initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1986 Air Weather Service Senior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year.
Very, very proud of you. Thanks very, very much. Congratulations. In September of 1983, Chuck Benson, who was my aide at the time, exec at the time, and Charlie Melson and I, we took off for a trip through the northern ring of bases. Now, a brand new second lieutenant at that time was Second Lieutenant Kimberly Carver. Now, Captain Kimberly Carver, our Junior Officer of the Year in Air Weather Service. Kimberly didn't stay there very long. There's Kim, as many of you know her as, because she headed off for Bitburg, Germany. And in Bitburg, Germany, I had a chance to meet her again when I made the visit over there. Now, there were a number of things that impressed me. One, Gary Ziegler and his predecessor had her ranked as the number 1 lieutenant in the entire 2nd Weather Wing. Now, that's a distinct honor and one that anyone can be proud of. But I think what brought warmth to my heart, if you will, is when we had a changeover in commanders between Major Dave Urbanski, who was right behind her, and Emil Berestech, who was coming in right after her. We realized there was going to be about a 2-month overlap. And we didn't know if we were going to have to make some adjustments or if we could rely on then a first lieutenant to carry the load. And Gary Ziegler went to the wing commander at Bitburg and said, have absolutely no worries. I have absolute utmost confidence in Lieutenant Carver to be able to do that job. And it's nice to have your parents with us today, Colonel Retired Jim Carver and Robin. We're very pleased. I happen to have a few children myself, so I can tell you as a commander I'm proud, and I know as a parent you're very proud, and you have every right to be.
Kimberly L. Carver, Air Weather Service Junior Officer of the Year, 1986. Captain, then First Lieutenant Kimberly L. Carver, Wing Weather Officer, Detachment 1, 31st Weather Squadron, Bitburg Air Base, Germany, is the 1986 Air Weather Service Junior Officer of the Year. Lieutenant Carver's outstanding leadership and managerial skills positively impacted weather support to the 36th Tactical Fighter Wing and Bitburg Air Base. Lieutenant Carver's detailed and comprehensive Wing Weather Officer continuity binder and weather support plan became the standard for all 31st Weather Squadron units. For a period of 2 months, and without any previous command experience, Lieutenant Carver effectively managed Detachment 1, 31st Weather Squadron. Because of her dedication to excellence, a smooth command transition was achieved with no degradation in service. Lieutenant Carver's technical expertise was invaluable in support of NATO and host base exercises alike. During readiness exercise Salty Nation, Lieutenant Carver's accurate forecasts resulted in correct decisions by the battle staff, saving valuable sorties. In addition to her primary duties, Lieutenant Carver excelled as the unit mobility, Security, and Disaster Preparedness Officer. The 36th Tactical Fighter Wing rated her programs outstanding. Lieutenant Carver culminated her outstanding career when she was awarded an Excellent for Staff Support Liaison by the Headquarters MAC Management Effectiveness Inspection Team. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1986 Air Weather Service Junior Officer of the Year.
Well, Kim, your career is just starting, not ending by any means, and I'm very proud of you. Thank you very much for your contributions, and all the best for that, too. All right? All right. Thank you. Now, last I would ask you, each of you, I would tell you right now, it's kind of sunny outside. It looks rather nice and benign. Imagine if someone put a challenge to you and said, here's what I would like you to do in the service of your country. First, I recognize you have never jumped out of a perfectly good airplane before, but I would like you to do that. I would like you to do that for the first time, probably in pre-dawn or darkness, and I would like you to do that during the most intense battle that's ever been undertaken by the United States forces. Well, without stealing thunder from the citation that's about to be read, we looked, quite frankly, for a couple of years now, for someone who symbolized not only the weather-observing capabilities that our enlisted force represent, but also the warrior image of taking that weather support under battlefield conditions and carrying out their mission in exemplary fashion. And I'm pleased to have Gina Dotson and formerly Staff Sergeant or Sergeant Robert Dotson here today, who exemplifies that.
Robert A. Dodson Specialized Support Award. The Specialized Support Award is presented annually to recognize individual excellence by an Air Weather Service non-commissioned officer or airman providing specialized weather support. This year, the award is renamed as the Robert A. Dodson Specialized Support Award. Staff Sergeant Robert A. Dodson was an installation weather observer during World War II. Sergeant Dodson was assigned to Ascot, England in 1944. Following minimal training as a parachutist, Sergeant Dodson made his only jump with the 2nd 82nd Airborne Division on D-Day, June 6, 1944. Landing outside Saint-Mère-Liege, France, Sergeant Dodson injured his knee during the jump. Shortly after entering Saint-Mère-Liege, Sergeant Dodson and his unit came under siege. All members of the Air Support Party acted as riflemen for the next 36 hours. When the siege was lifted, Sergeant Dodson began duties as a weatherman, taking observations, including wind direction and speed, visibility, ceiling cloud and cloud heights, temperature and dew point, and sending them hourly by radio. Sergeant Dodson was finally evacuated to a hospital on June 21st for treatment of his injured knee. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert A. Dodson.
Well, it'll be a great honor for me not only today to present this citation to you, and this you will be able to keep. And in the future, Mr. Dodson, we will present a plaque like this to the award winners in honor of you, and we thank you for your service to your country. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much. Great. Well, congratulations to all of you again. We'll see you all tonight. If you have a moment, how about coming up and congratulating these people while they stand up here with these handsome flags? Then the activities here begin about 5 o'clock tomorrow evening with a photographer present and a number of other amenities that are available for you. We have a grand evening. It's going to be absolutely first class in terms of entertainment, in terms of food, and certainly the speaker, who many of you may have known personally, General Richard Lawson, former Deputy Commander-in-Chief, EUCOM, served in Strategic Air Command for a number of years, a very, very dynamic speaker, very recently retired, and we're very pleased to have him in with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Air Weather Service 50th Anniversary Ball. Our theme this evening is the celebration of 50 years of military weather support by the Air Weather Service.
Well, thanks very much, Jack, and we've been having a great time for 2 days, and we're going to have a great time this evening. And again, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 50th anniversary ball. I'm going to begin logically at table number 1, and there's a rather unique footnote to the biography of this distinguished officer that I'm about to introduce. First of all, as his military career began, it began with an assignment to the 6th Weather Group as a second lieutenant in the mid-50s, and he happened to work for a colonel at that time by the name of Bill Barney, who is here in the audience. But that second lieutenant has now moved well beyond that assignment in the 6th Weather Group, and I'm pleased to introduce the Commander-in-Chief of the Military Airlift Command, who also was recently nominated by President Reagan as the first Commander-in-Chief of the United States Transportation Command. It's my pleasure to introduce to you General Dwayne Cassidy and his wife, Rosalie. Our speaker and our very special honored guest this evening, the former Deputy Commander-in-Chief, United States European Command, and recently retired from our United States Air Force, General Richard Lawson and his wife, Joan. Also at the head table this evening is my lovely wife, Lisa. Please stand and be recognized, Lisa. Now next I'm going to shift to the former Air Weather Service commanders who are in attendance tonight and introduce them individually to you because many of you with a crowd of 850 may not have had the opportunity to meet with them yet. And I'd like to begin with the Dean of the Air Weather Service Commanders who's with us on this particular session, Colonel Arthur Meriwether. And as a refresher, Colonel Meriwether was the Air Weather Service Commander from January 1940 to January 1942. And during his command, Air Weather Service was tasked with managing weather service for the newly formed Army Air Corps. And Colonel Meriwether and his people laid the foundation, truly, for the wartime weather support to the nation's military forces in 2 different theaters. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Colonel Meriwether and his wife, Genevieve. I'd next like to introduce Brigadier General Norman Peterson. General Peterson was the Air Weather Service Commander twice, briefly from March to November in 1958, and again from October 1959 until March of 1963. And during his tenure, as many of you may recall, Air Weather Service moved its headquarters from Andrews Air Force Base to Scott Air Force Base, where we are today. And Tyros 1, the first weather satellite, was launched, and the first continental meteorological teletype system was implemented to upgrade weather communications. Ladies and gentlemen, General Peterson. Major General Russell Pierce. General Pierce was the Air Weather Service Commander from October 1965 to July 1970. And during his tenure, the Air Force Global Weather Central. We'll pause for a little applause there, folks. The Air Force Global Weather Central was officially established and plans were laid for the Space Environmental Support System. Please join me in welcoming Major General Russ Pierce and his wife, Helen. Brigadier General Bill Best. General Best was the Air Weather Service Commander from July 1970 through July 1973. He ensured the continued effectiveness of Air Weather Service operations in the latter stages of the Vietnam War and the military drawdown which followed. During his command, the automatic response to query, we call it the ARQ system, came online, and the first UNIVAC 1110 computer was installed again at the Air Force Global Weather Central. Ladies and gentlemen, General Bill Best and his wife, Evelyn. Now it's next my pleasure to introduce Major General John Collins. General Collins was the Commander of Air Weather Service from February 1974 until August 1975. And events during his command included computer upgrades at ETAC, the transfer of weather reconnaissance aircraft and crews to the Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Service, and the first Air Weather Service solar optical telescope became operational during that period of time, and is certainly a boon to our capability today worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, General Collins and his wife Barbara. At table number 8, Brigadier General Albert J. Kane. General Kane was our Air Weather Service commander from August 1978 until July 1982. During his tenure, Air Weather Service plans to modernize its hardware and to upgrade its capability began to fall into place. Development of concepts and plans began for the automated weather distribution system and the next generation weather radar. Ladies and gentlemen, General Al Kane and his wife Mellie. Now I'd like to introduce some of the Air Weather Service award winners who are here with us tonight, because I think it's very important that our award winners come in, see the heritage of the organization, see what you've done for us and the foundation that you've laid, and then help us to build on that in the future. Seated with Colonel Merriweather tonight are the winners of the Merriweather Award, which was an award named in his honor, established in his honor, in the 1950s. And this honor is awarded to the individual or the team who has made the most outstanding technical contribution to Air Weather Service in a given year. The honorees this year are from the Air Force Global Weather Central, Captain Joe Alecca and Chief Master Sergeant retired Gene Weber. Their wives are with them, Susan Alecca and Doris Weber. Please take a bow at the Merriweather table. We have a number of both special or technical awards in Air Weather Service, as well as the professional awards, such as the Airman of the Year and the Junior Officer of the Year. One of the awards that we've had for a number of years is called Specialized Support, because Air Weather Service people get involved in some rather specialized support operations from time to time, and we recognize our people with that each year. A short time ago, within the last year, year and a half, we tried to focus on an enlisted person, former in Air Weather Service, that we could name the Specialized Support Award after, to recognize the exploits of our enlisted force as well as we do the many other people. And that leads me to the next introduction, to a person by the name of Robert Dotson, who is with us at table number 9 tonight, because we have renamed an award in his honor, and I'd like to tell you just a little bit about why we've done that. Put yourself in his place, recognizing we all either have been or are involved in the service of our country. Robert Dotson enlisted in the Army in August of 1941. He trained as a weather observer, and when he was assigned to Ascot, England, on his second assignment in 1944, he volunteered for jump school training. But the jump school closed because of D-Day preparations, but as the history records very well, Sergeant Dotson and his commander convinced the 82nd Airborne Division that there was still room for one more soldier. So after a short mock-up jump training program, no jumps from aircraft, I might add, Sergeant Dotson made his first and only jump from an aircraft with the 82nd on D-Day, June 6, 1944, landing a mile northeast of Sainte-Marie-Église, France. He injured his knee, but he continued on with others of his unit to Sainte-Marie-Église, where they came under siege for 36 hours. After the siege lifted, Weatherman Dotson went to work. He took and sent hourly observations until June 21st, when he was evacuated to a hospital for treatment of his injuries. He attained the rank of Staff Sergeant and was decorated with the Bronze Star and Purple Heart before leaving the service in 1945. And so we're honored, as you can understand, to rename the Specialized Support Award as the Robert Dotson Award. Please welcome and recognize Robert Dotson and his wife, Gino. It's important for our active duty people, as I said a little earlier, to sense the history and the rather proud tradition of their awards and their organization. And I'd now like to introduce some other award winners that are with us this evening, who are really the foundation, as I indicated, of our hope to continue to build a strong air weather service to serve our country in the future. I'd like to first introduce the Air Weather Service Junior Officer of the Year, who recently moved from her assignment at Bitburg, Germany, to an AFIT assignment at the University of Oklahoma, where she will receive a master's degree in meteorology and then return to active duty with the Air Weather Service. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Kim Carver and her parents, Colonel Retired Jimmy Carver and his wife Robin. Next, the Air Weather Service Airman of the Year, Senior Airman Matt Cornell, a below-the-zoner to Senior Airman, a distinguished grad of the NCO Prep School, and he's from Pope Air Force Base, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Cornell. Now, the Air Weather Service Senior NCO of the Year also happens to be General Cassidy's Military Airlift Command Senior NCO of the Year, and that indeed is an additional great honor. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Senior Master Sergeant Dennis Gagne from Sembach, Germany. Dennis? And last but by no means least in this group, the Air Weather Service NCO of the Year, Tech Sergeant Frank Hall, from Det 25 5th Weather Wing, Howard Air Force Base in Panama, but now assigned to Fort Bragg in North Carolina. And it's worthwhile pointing out to you that Sergeant Hall is not only our NCO of the Year, he again is the Military Airlift Command NCO of the Year, and very recently was selected by the Chief of Staff, the United States Air Force, as one of the 12 outstanding Airmen of the Year from a field of about 500,000. That's a great award. Sergeant Hall. The future looks good with talent like that, and we also have a special group, though, that reflect on the past and the heritage, and I want to introduce them as a group at this time. Would ask you to hold your applause until they're all standing, because we want to recognize a special group of pioneers. These were the people who were present and were serving in Air Weather Service when Air Weather Service was established on July 1st, 1937, and we have a number of them here tonight. It's probably no surprise that the first one that I would introduce is Colonel Arthur Merriweather from Bayside, New York, at table number 3. At table number 4, Lieutenant Colonel Oscar True, who's come from Riverside, California. At table number 5, Lieutenant Colonel Harrison Livingston from Tampa, Florida. At table number 6, Lieutenant Colonel Louis Chiddock from Durango, Colorado. At table number 7, Colonel William Bill Barney from Rockville, Maryland. At table number 8, Lieutenant Colonel Rene Therion from McLean, Virginia. At table number 9, Sergeant Chalmer Hill from Reseda, California. And at table number 12, Lieutenant Colonel Darrell Moyer from San Jose, California. Ladies and gentlemen, the Air Weather Service pioneers. Give them a round of applause. Well, that's a nice start to the evening, and I think you're really going to have a good time this evening. As we have had for a couple of days, the Clarion Hotel has prepared a very special meal for us this evening. We're sure you're going to enjoy it, but while you're eating, we're going to have some special entertainment for you as well. And I'd now like to call on Lieutenant Colonel Jack Hayes again to introduce some of that entertainment as you enjoy your meal. Thank you. Jack?
Thank you, General Chapman. For your entertainment, we have a special Air Weather Service quartet composed of Colonel Tom Proffitt, Colonel retired Dale Flinders, Major Al Ron, and Major Jeff Hart. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Air Weather Service song.
Thank you, Colonel Hayes. I would like to emphasize that this is indeed the original, and I know because the words were copied out of my MIT cadet class book. To you, some of the lyrics may sound a bit unprofessional, meteorologically speaking, but remember, Lieutenant Devereaux was on his way to MIT and had not yet had the advantage of training.
Oh, I'll never forget the day was wet, the general wanted to fly. He said, my boy, is it okay for me to go on high? When I said, no, it's going to snow, you should have seen him frown. Say, I'm the only guy that ever kept the general down. I read the codes and spot the plot, my maps are very neat. With isotherms and millibars, my charts are most replete. I slip the slide rule, check the graph, consult the weather vane. I order sunshine every day, but all I get is rain. The teletype thought, synoptic shock, anemometers going around. My pressure lines are intertwined, my fronts are underground. The winds that blow from high to low have blown me off the track. I'll have to throw my books away and use the almanac.
We are the men,
we are the men,
the weathermen,
the weathermen.
We may be wrong,
oh now and then, oh now and then.
But when you see,
our
planes on
high, just remember we're the ones who let them fly. We're the ones who let them fly.
Thank you.